Hi everyone, thanks so much for staying up late with us. I'm Tim Pham. We are covering a developing story in Seattle today. A crane fell over the top of a building in one of Seattle's busiest intersections. The crane landed on 6 vehicles. 2 workers were killed and 2 people died in cars. Others survived after cars were crushed by the weight of the crane. We have team coverage on the scene in the South Lake Union area where the crane collapsed. We start with Michael Crow.
Absolutely a terrifying thing that happened here earlier this afternoon, and just hours later, actually an active scene behind me. Take a look at this. Crews are working to remove those hulking pieces of metal and debris right now. You can see several of those crushed cars sitting there, but really a terrifying situation here this afternoon, and many people witnessed it while some ran to help. The sound came first.
I heard a crash, kind of like thunder.
Then the fury.
Then I heard the most sirens that I've ever heard, and I knew something had probably fallen down.
Holly Kirchner was around the corner and arrived at Mercer Street to this.
I see a huge chunk of crane that looks like it might be lying on a few cars, and the most emergency vehicles I've ever seen.
The construction crane came tumbling down right into traffic.
There's crushed cars underneath part of the crane, and like I said, a mess.
Leaving many people
It doesn't look good.
with stories of having just passed underneath.
Literally 15 minutes later, this happened. Yeah.
Thank God.
I know.
Thank God you weren't here.
Some were not as lucky to walk away with a near miss.
That can't be good.
2 people working on the crane were killed. 2 more died inside vehicles below.
The destruction's devastating.
4 others were treated for injuries.
It puts a terrible pit in my stomach.
They were going to take it down today, I guess.
Laura Herzer says this is what she feared.
And I've dealt with these cranes for the last year and a half, and it's really scary. At one time, there was 3 of them right around our building.
Living in South Lake Union, home to so much construction.
2, 3, maybe 4 workers up in that top section.
They looked this tall. They were so far up there.
But in this tragedy, there are stories of hope, like those that ran to help, and the people below
There were a lot of cars waiting for the light to change in this intersection.
that were able to
And
escape.
I am frankly relieved that it's not more. It was a tremendous impact.
I'm glad that I wasn't right here when that came down.
Though many will end today with a nervous eye to the other cranes that dot the Seattle skyline.
Seems like there's lots of things that could fall down with the right gust of wind.
Yep. We learned not to look up.
And many questions remain tonight. We do know this from several witnesses. It looked like crews were working to tear this crane down earlier in the day, though the specifics remain to be seen. In Seattle, Michael Crow, KREM 2 News.
Well, now the investigation starts to find out what caused the massive crane to come down. Callie Greenberg continues our team coverage with that part of our top story.
The State Department of Labor and Industries, that's the department that oversees and inspects cranes across the state of Washington. So they'll be heading up this investigation. We did speak to the mayor of Seattle this evening, who said it could be several months before we find out what happened. The State Department of Labor and Industries are working with police to investigate what caused this crane to collapse at Mercer Street and Fairview Avenue. The collapse killed 4 people and sent 4 others to the hospital.
It's a horrible day in Seattle when something like this happens. It's right in the heart of our city. Probably most people have driven down this road sometime in their lives. Recently, people were just going on their Saturday way, and just out of the blue this happens. Workers just at work doing their jobs, and suddenly 2 of them have perished.
Mayor Jenny Durkin said the investigation into what caused the collapse could take months, adding there have only been 2 other crane accidents in recent years.
State Department of Labor and Industries inspects those cranes regularly. The workers who work on them are very good. I think that we've had a good track record here, but of course we're going to pay extra attention to make sure that the cranes that are in Seattle today are safe.
Through the weekend, crews will work to map and clear the scene. Seattle police will then determine whether there's additional damage that's been done to the roads.
We know that this is a main thoroughfare. It is going to be closed for a while. It will be closed the rest of today, probably a good part, if not all, of tomorrow. The Seattle Department of Transportation is working hard to find alternate routes.
We're in Seattle tonight. Callie Greenberg, KREM 2 News.
A 25-year-old mother and her 4-month-old baby were among those injured and have already been discharged from Harborview Medical Center. The Seattle Department of Transportation will determine if anything needs to be done to fix the roads. Now the investigation begins for a city which for years has had more construction cranes than any other U.S. city. Washington Governor Jay Inslee released a statement saying in part, "I join all Washingtonians in extending our deepest condolences to the family and friends of the 4 people who died in this afternoon's tragic accident." He also thanked the first responders at the scene. We, of course, will continue to keep you updated on any new developments first on KREM.com. A gunman opened fire at a synagogue near San Diego this morning, leaving 1 woman dead and multiple others injured. A rabbi was among those shot. The shooting comes exactly 6 months after a shooting killed 11 people at a synagogue in Pittsburgh. Today, worshipers were celebrating the final day of Passover at the Shabbat of Poway. Authorities say the gunman is a 19-year-old man, but his motives are still unclear, and he is in custody tonight. Switching gears now to weather. It was cool and windy around the inland northwest today, and it may get downright chilly during the next couple of nights. Meteorologist Michelle Boss is in the Weather Center with the details for the next few days. And Michelle, the wind was really howling today.
Yeah, we had peak wind gusts in Spokane of 41 miles per hour, but in Cheney and Spangle, we had wind gusts as high as 47 miles per hour. Fortunately, those winds have come down. We did have some branches down around the city, and also a report around downtown on Monroe Street of a stoplight where the stoplight actually got blown until it was facing the wrong direction. So lots of interesting wind today, or lots of gusty winds, I should say. But fortunately, it has come down. Calm winds right now in Deer Park and Sandpoint, and winds generally under 10 miles per hour in the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene area. Still a little bit brisk out towards Moses Lake and Wenatchee. But do expect winds to pick back up tomorrow afternoon, but instead of out of the west, they are going to be out of the northeast. So we'll probably see breezier conditions, especially across the Idaho Panhandle from Sandpoint down into Coeur d'Alene and Spokane with that shift to the northeast. But temperatures, well, I'm going to be kind of thankful that we have a little bit of a breeze, because if we didn't, temperatures would probably be even colder than they are now. And they're sitting just 4 degrees above freezing in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. Deer Park is now at 33 degrees. I think we're going to get a little bit more cloud cover overnight, and still a potential, though, to see temperatures drop down to right at freezing and maybe even a couple degrees below, especially in those sheltered northern valleys. Right now in satellite and radar, things are pretty quiet except for the Idaho Panhandle and those higher elevations where a little bit of snow could be falling above 3,000 feet. Wind advisory continues across northwest Montana until noon tomorrow, but here locally, mostly cloudy skies down to 33 degrees, and then breezy northeasterly winds tomorrow with a high of only 54.
We're painting, doing yard work, putting flowers in, and just trying to get it nice and sharp.
The Spokane Cops program is taking on a pretty big project. They're renovating an old home and turning it into what's called a cop shop. Gonzaga Prep owns the home, but reached out to cops asking them to use it. It'll be used as a place for reporting crime and increasing neighborhood security. KREM 2 Shanna Waldtower tells us more on the project and what they're hoping will come from it.
Yeah, what a better way to spend a Saturday than by helping out the community. And today, painting is on the agenda. It's all a part of getting this house ready for service.
Lots of painting and fun stuff today. We're painting, doing yard work, putting flowers in, and just trying to get it nice and sharp. This is our new cop shop. It's Cops Logan, right here in the Logan neighborhood on Perry Street on the Gonzaga Prep campus. We've got cop shops all around town, and the purpose is a place where you can go if you need assistance with how to prevent crime, or if you've been a victim and you need some answers, you can come in. Our volunteers run it, but we also have police officers and DOC officers at the shops, and it's a great place to come in, get the resources you need. Gonzaga Prep reached out to us looking for a cop shop. They wanted to have one. We were looking for a location, and so they were able to get us this one. Needed a little bit of work, so today we are here with volunteers, and we're just doing some of the final work to get it ready and so that we can get it open to the public.
I hope to see the community a better place, see this cop shop in a little bit better shape so that it can open up and be a great place for the community. And I personally think that serving on a Saturday morning is the perfect way to start your day off good and be able to really show that love for your community and others around you.
The crew is hoping to finish the work and open the house by mid-May. In Spokane, Shayna Waldtower, KREM 2 News.
Well, today is National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. Police departments and participating agencies across the country are collecting old and used prescription drugs to help lower the risk of them getting into the wrong hands. According to the DEA, there have been more deaths from the misuse of prescription drugs than cocaine and heroin overdoses since 2002.
Right now, what we know is that the vast majority of individuals who are getting hooked on drugs start with prescription drugs. That's their first experience with drugs, and a lot of them are going to be because people have taken drugs that are laying around the house. They're not needed any longer, and then they get hooked on it. They try it maybe one time, and then they're hooked, and then now they're struggling with those addictions.
Local researchers said National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day could be the step many take to keep their loved ones away from drug use. There are also permanent drug take-back sites that you can find year-round. We've posted those on KREM.com. Over in Olympia, a bill in the Washington legislature aims to study ways the state could make the firearm background check system less broken. The Office of Financial Management would conduct a feasibility study and make recommendations about how the state could implement a single-point background check system. Right now, the state has different background check systems for different types of firearms. To curb the impact that Initiative 1639 will have once it goes into effect in July, lawmakers are looking into how to implement a simpler system.